My name is Jessa Garibay. I'm 23 years old from Puerto Princesa City, Philippines. I was with Earth Corps in 2012 as an international corps member for ECC and as a volunteer specialist for ECV in year 2013, mainly working in South Seattle parks like Chiste and Seward. Why do I work in the environmental field? My reason is this. I was born and raised in the province of Palawan, popularly known as the last frontier of the Philippines. It is also home to two UNESCO World Heritage Sites. My hometown is popular because of the world's longest navigable underground river in the world, and I can say that growing up, we were spoiled by nature. Tropical fruits are made available in our yard, and the lush beauty of nature is just a few steps away. All this are well preserved, while some parts of the Philippines suffered from deforestation and exploitation because of poor management and less awareness in the different parts of my country. Now more than ever, I wish to strive harder in the environmental field. After the calamities that struck the Philippines, especially the typhoon that happened last year, we saw that all the damage to the people and to nature needs rehabilitation and restoration. And we need young leaders, experienced and enthusiasts, to take part into rehabilitating our country. I currently work as a project manager for the proposed Cleopatra's Needle Forest Reserve for Center for Sustainability, a non-government environmental organization based here in my hometown. Basically, Cleopatra's Needle is the highest peak here in my city and is identified as a key biodiversity area in my country. It covers a good area of our island province and harbors remarkable concentrations of endemic species of flora and fauna. However, with all this being said, Cleopatra's Needle remains to be an unprotected area in my country. The project I'm working on involves a lot of components. Aside from demarcating and creating a management plan for the proposed area, we have to do a lot of negotiations and a lot of talks with government offices into lobbying our proposal for its protection. Along those lines, I got immersed in our rural communities and got to connect with the real guardians of the forest. They are the indigenous people. The Batak community in particular has only 200 members left, and they are the ones that inhabit and depend on the forest for food, shelter, and livelihood. Beyond the actual job of informing them about the project, I see a good opportunity to influence them on how to manage their resources and utilize it sustainably for future generations. We also have a research component to identify species, varieties, and populations of flora and fauna in the area, as well as livelihood for the surrounding communities and education programs for the youth. We also just received funding to establish a nursery for kauri trees, a conifer species that is highly tapped for its sap. This special species, however, diminishing in the forests of the province and really needs action before the population actually collapses. We are also very lucky to have received funding and support from different organizations. One of the major funders is the Rainforest Trust, who gave us money to implement most of our major components. The community was also very supportive and excited for our efforts, which makes the work easier and lighter and also inspires us to do more. Alongside all this work, Mike Ollave of Earth Corps 2011 from the Philippines, Ronald Amada of ECC 2012, and J.R. Lapus, ECC 2013, and I work together on some projects here involved in trail work and hiking activities. As I speak for this training, the trail we actually rerouted is being opened to the public as an access to reach the cave opening of the very popular Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park. We also have done work helping out Ronald, again of ECC 2012, to complete his project with Palawan Conservation Corps to do a community-based sustainable tourism activity area, a hiking site in Mount Beaufort, a mountain in our area where you can have a good view of the major base of the city. What are the most important things that I've learned at Earth Corps? One of this is you and your story matter. I have learned from Earth Corps that everyone has a story to tell. The diversity of people I was exposed to when I was there opened my eyes to so many cultures and traditions that I have never heard of before. Everyone has an interesting moment in their life, maybe growing up, during their career, during their university, and it is finding that aha moment in you. Some people like telling their stories, others channel it through art or just by taking action. But I think you should find your best way in telling your story to influence someone in the things that you really care about or inspiring them to share that vision with you. I still have memories of Keith and other staff teaching us how to tell our stories by telling our what, so what, now what. There might be times that it is hard for you to find that aha story, but also sometimes it comes from listening to people you relate to and finding that connection story. Number 2, network and find people that will help you along the way. In the words of Steve Dubiel, once you've entered EarthCore's doors, you are forever part of this big community. The size of it, I just realized when I got back here. Every time I think of any activity, may it be a social movement, may it be a cause, or even just game for kids, I know that I have a person to ask and get more information from. I have also found good contacts and friends whom I can ask advice from. I have also practiced doing informational interviews and finding mentors that can really help you along the way. I found that really useful, especially coming from a small city like where I'm from here in the Philippines, and getting to know the ins and outs of established organizations and organizations that have really done a lot for this cause and for this purpose. Number 3, community matters. As a volunteer specialist for a year with EarthCore, I have learned the value of connecting with the community. Words can't express how my heart grew and how inspired I became with every volunteer event that I have been part of. Listening intently to their stories, laughing at their jokes, even sometimes pretending because of the language barrier, or just simply planting beside them provided me with an experience that is truly unforgettable. I came from a culture where people appreciate less and we don't really throw out a lot of praises, but I learned that from my experience that you need to break through those barriers and learn to appreciate the community more. And it actually inspires a wave of people all at the same time. I've also realized that writing thank you notes is something that I really took home here. What you value makes you a global leader. Global leaders are local leaders. If you know yourself and the things that you care about, then you are a step forward into making that effect in your community. Translating it into action is also another step. It just takes another inspired person, an inspired heart, to see the things that you really care about and follow after your lead. Next thing you know, you have a community that got your back and is more eager to support you in your endeavors and your initiatives. Also, I think it is good to give emphasis that what you value and the things that you want to start, it doesn't have to be big things. It doesn't have to be big projects. It just needs to be genuine and comes from deep within, goodwill and very inclusive. I think the ripple effect comes into it, into becoming a global leader. You start strong with your community and really build up the rapport in your community, and next thing you know, you're changing the world through the networks you've established and from the overlapping networks that EarthCore has provided you. What are my advice for the next 5 months? Number 1 is this. Make your own sunshine. Find things that puts a smile in your face. Think of good music, some games for your team, just about anything. If you like talking, talk about your feelings and express them so that people understand where you're at. As someone who grew up in the tropics, the rain has been extra challenging for me. So I think what really helped me along is also a friend who would bring an extra hand warmer to offer you, an extra soup to warm someone up, just anything that warms the heart. Number 2, patience is character building. Now that I'm back in the Philippines, my family and friends cannot believe that I carried buckets of gravel, carved land into trails, and used grass cutters. They, however, believe that I have in some ways matured in the ways that I deal with activities for work or even in my personal life. I would always joke around that rain molded me with a stronger character, with a stronger personality, but it really did. Patience and flexibility is a good skill to earn, and that is really useful for me now. Be present. Your programming lasts for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, but time flies and you gotta make the most out of the moment. Take as much photos as you can and make as many friends as you can and make deeper connections as you can, because once you come back to your community, to your country, to your state, it really works out to your advantage that you've got a lot of people excited for the things you do and the things that will happen to you. And lastly, enjoy the experience. Earthcore is a big community, a good network of people to be surrounded with, and I'm glad to be part of that community.